It's Song Talk Radio with Michael, Neil, Phil, and the gang.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. We're so glad you could join us here on Song Talk Radio. You know what we like to talk about? Well, judging from the name of the podcast, perhaps songwriting and other songwriting-related topics, at least. I'm Phil, and here are my good friends with whom I talk songwriting with. On my left here is Mr. Neil Modi. How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing quite well. Ready to talk about... I think we'll talk about songs. How's that?
Sure, songwriting.
Just for a change, something different.
And here on my other left is Mr. Michael Proudfoot. How's tricks, Michael?
Tricks are pretty good. Busy and I'd had a little fallow period, but I'm getting back into the writing part of the song.
Very exciting.
So that's good.
Don't forget that we really love to hear from you, the listener here on Song Talk. So why don't you send us an email to feedback@songtalk.ca with any questions or comments on the show. Your emails make us so very happy, and we do read each and every one. Today we got some house cleaning to do, so let's start off with a listener's email. We have an email from Jeff P. in Michigan.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for writing.
Thanks for writing.
Hi, Jeff.
He says, hello, I found your podcasts on Stitcher and have been enjoying them and learning from them. Just listened to the podcast on the best songs that only have 3 chords. I wanted to share with you one of my very favorite songs that is the same chords and progressions throughout the song. No chorus, no bridge. That is the song Boots of Spanish Leather that was written initially by Bob Dylan. My favorite version is the one done by Mandolin Orange. I have not found it on a CD or album, but there is a video on YouTube. This is a song which is a conversation between 2 people, and Mandolin Orange does it with a male and female singing the respective parts. Much better than Dylan or myself just singing alone. Well, we don't know about that, Jeff. Don't put yourself down. It is a story and a conversation to the same chord progression during the entire song. All right, thanks for the podcast, and we'll keep listening. John P. in Michigan. Thanks for writing, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
So what do we think of that version of Bob Dylan's song?
I'll admit I was not familiar with that song, but it was beautifully rendered by that band. The 2 voices thing was interesting because it was like Bob Dylan sang it by himself, but then it was clearly a conversation.
He was, Dylan's very good at inhabiting the bodies of other characters in his songs, but it was nice to hear the different tones and hear the conversation made really clear. So
it's an interesting thing.
I hadn't heard that before.
It's and that's I like Bob Dylan and respect him a lot as a songwriter because he is a massive talent. But I'm not familiar with actually that particular song. But I thought it was an interesting approach to write something as a conversation, which is something I've never done. Mainly because I always think of songs that I write as something I would actually perform. And It would be strange to perform a song that are meant for 2 people if it doesn't sort of say she says and then he says type thing. Mm-hmm. Have you folks ever done that?
I'm trying to think. I do like having like I had a song where the first verse was from the guy's point of view and the second verse was from the woman's point of view, and so that's sort of the same. But the song was told as an omnipresent narrator, and only in the bridge did was an opinion expressed. Up until then, it was just an observation. But that's not the same as a conversation or showing different points of view. But it wasn't.
So your songwriting. So it was a third person omniscient type of voice,
and then in the bridge. The songwriter, the narrator gave them advice. It was about them dating and how the relationship was working out and the doubts they had about it. And then the bridge was the narrators kind of giving them advice on how to proceed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. How about you, Neil?
Neil, you it was the one I brought to Blair's songwriting workshop. The one, the meetup. The one where, oh God, Lisa Del Bello. Lisa Del Bello was there. Venus and Mars.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I've certainly explored songs where I've inhabited a different character and put it in an I type of thing. That's clearly not me, but a song I shared on the podcast, I think last time we did a song from each of us, that little opera piece that I wrote about the Queen and the Knights. That's probably or maybe perhaps the only time I've ever done like a literal duet thing. And that when I wrote that, I was fully intending for other people to sing it. It was not something I was planning on performing myself at all. So it was
interesting
with other people in mind.
Yeah,
but Phil, I mean, you haven't written in conversation, but have you written in other people's voices or in other characters?
Well, actually, a song I just kind of finished off because I am trying to actually finish things off this year. That is my goal for 2020. Before who knows what's going to come out next? Like Sodomy Geese, or who knows what's going to be down the hall. But it's
just
actually,
if I may interrupt, there's a theory because we had a full moon on the last time that when we sprung forward, when we had the daylight savings, we're going to have a full moon in October when it goes back. So maybe it'll reset things.
Let's hope. Let's hope. But the song I did actually is, it is from a male standpoint, but it's from a truck driver. It's actually a country song that I wrote, and it's from a truck driver's standpoint. And I've never driven trucks professionally or amateurly at all. So
even as a hobby,
or even as a hobby,
little toy Maxell, whatever. What do you call it?
No, not really. I have a client that is a trucking company, but so that's probably the farthest I've really gone off from a viewpoint. I mean, I was writing a song from sort of a hoarder standpoint. I guess that was someone that was not me.
Yeah.
But it's not something I've done very often. It tends to be something that's pretty close. I don't know. I guess it's, I think I just never thought about it. I think it's only after I started doing the podcast that I started thinking about songs in kind of more of an abstract way, because I'd be doing stuff for the band and we'd come up with a riff and I'd start singing something in rehearsal. And then I was like, okay, here's a song and I'm going to write words to this song. It wasn't as much of an intellectual pursuit. And so now it's a bit more, so it would be an interesting thing to do something. I don't even do a story lyric where it's like, John goes into the store and says to, give me a whiskey. I don't do that kind of third person omniscient. It's always usually in the first person, me actually.
Yeah.
I think about
you've got lots of more places you can go.
Yeah, it's true. It's a hard thing to do, but it's actually, I think, a great challenge. I mean, if you always just rewrite third person or story-based stuff to write something for the first person, and if you always write from the first person, push yourself into a different viewpoint.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, try get outside of your comfort zone. And you were saying, Phil, a second ago that you're working on finishing things. I'm just wondering what kind of strategies do you have in place to actually finish things? Because I actually, when I dropped my EP of electropop music, you emailed me back and said congrats and all that sort of stuff, and congrats on actually finishing something.
Yes.
And I thought about that for a second. I'm like, Phil's always said that he's had trouble. He starts lots of things and doesn't finish them. And to be honest, I used to be that way. I used to have my computer full of all these tiny little ideas. Untitled this and riff number 43 and a half or whatever. But it occurred to me that the best thing I can suggest for finishing something well is to start something well. It seems kind of obvious, but when you have a vision and a goal and and some kind of a plan in place when you start a project, whether it's a song or an EP or whatever, then you got something tangible to hold on to carry you through and see you through the end. Whereas if you start with something random and unfocused, it has the potential to evolve into something that can be completed. But I find for myself, when I start off with something random, the chances of it being finished are pretty small. Whereas if I start with something focused and with a concrete idea, then I can see it through to the end.
I think
Sounds like a good idea.
I think with me, it was, I'm very situational. So, before when I was, when the Parkdale Hookers were together and we were playing and I had a show. I mean, I remember, going up to London because we used to play in London a fair amount and actually like writing the lyrics for the songs on the bus because, I think we're going to be on TV that night. And it was like, I just can't do the usual thing of hash your bill, the bartender,
Deadlines.
You sing half words.
Yes, I have done that many
I've done
times.
that. Yeah.
No,
Just make noises that sound like words.
We've said this many times on the show. Deadlines are great.
They really are.
Well, that's one of the things I like about the meetups is often I go, oh, there's a new meetup. I should write a song for that.
Yeah.
And the problem, I think another great thing about deadlines in the old days when you went to a recording studio and you had, you booked a weekend of recording time and you had to finish off 2 songs. You finished off 2 songs because at the end of Sunday you were done. There was no more time. Whereas we all have a recording studio on our desk now. Those endless times, it's tough. And I don't really have those kinds of deadlines anymore. I just kind of do stuff, and I do music that's very sort of inspiration based. So I'll get an idea, something I need to do because lyrically I'm so slow, and it seems to be the longer it takes me to do lyrics, the longer it takes.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when I have the inspiration, I have a lot of ideas, and I need to kind of grab them immediately, and I'm really bad that way. I've developed
for them to slip away.
Yes, and I sort of know some of it, and then it's just kind of not in that. I need just to get stuff down really quickly, and I'm bad that way. But so, what have we been doing this past couple of weeks as songwriting or just musically? How about you?
Yeah, I actually spent a Saturday at Don Thompson's place. We all know Don. He was our tech when we were doing this live at the station. And because I had another friend of mine, Sunny Zaman, who I met at the meetup many years ago, and he's a talented songwriter. He's a very big Who supporter, fan. He has a lot of his songs kind of go, Beatles, Who, that type of thing. Cool. And he always played MIDI drums on his pieces, and was kind of half happy with some of them and whatever, right? And learning how to do that. But he asked me if I wanted to play some live drums for 2 of his songs, and I'm like, sure. So he sent me the tracks, and I sent them to Don, and then Don, of course, has a recording studio with drum kit, and he wanted to try out some new microphones, so we did that. We actually did 3 songs. I did 2 songs for my friend Sonny, and I wrote and I played drums, surprise, surprise, for a little Michael Proudfoot song called Tender Hearts.
Nice.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, Don actually forwarded it to me. He said, I spoke to Mike about this like months and months ago and said, would you feel about a live drummer? And Mike said yes, and then Don didn't do anything with it. Probably because COVID hit. And it was hard to do.
Exactly. And, I haven't talked to him about it in ages.
Yeah, and so he forwarded it to me, and I'm like, sure, yeah. And I'd heard it before. I think you brought it to a meetup or something.
I did. In a different incarnation. I was trying to do like a wall of sound, like a shoegazer acoustic. And
okay. Well, the current version was great. It was catchy and everything, and came with a good little beat for it. And we drilled through that. So that was very much like you were saying, Phil. Like we had X number of hours to get 3 songs done, and we drilled through it.
How did you deal with COVID issues?
Well,
Yeah, I haven't been going anywhere because of this, man.
Yeah, I mean, keeping the hand sanitized. He also said like his studio is like a separate part of his house with its own entrance, and he said he's been the only one in there for like the last several months because he's been like recabling things and stuff like that. But masks on. He's on one side of the room. I'm on at the drum kit. Pretty much the entire time, and anytime we got anywhere close to each other, we had masks on, and just keeping everything sanitized and wiped down. I brought my own cymbals and stuff like that, and so.
Yeah, you're going to be scrubbing down the heads and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing I'm handling most of those drumsticks, and those are mine. So I didn't feel too threatened with that sort of a situation. So it was okay.
Yeah, I don't know how safe to be. I just figure I've been fairly isolated, so I'll just keep staying isolated. But it is kind of frustrating, because when you talked about Don's, I go, yeah, I'd love to go and record something live. I mean, like I've done it for a while now, collaborating with people via the internet. And it's okay, that's how you do it. But being in a room with someone and picking up on things and
it is true.
It's just such it's kind of like what it used to be like, but it seems to be a much more efficient way of writing music together. I don't know, it's what I like doing. I like playing music with people,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit the last, I was fine for it. Heather and I have an amazing situation. We have this great office that we share in the house, and, we get to have lunch together and dinner. It's, we're actually having a great time. We're not stuck for space. But just in the last couple of weeks, it's just kind of got to me. I just sort of, I wish I could get together. Like, it's stupid. I just want to get together with someone for a coffee at a coffee place,
Yeah, getting antsy, right? It's like,
and it's
enough already, people.
and I really miss being in a band. I have to admit, that's a huge.
I'm in a band, and we haven't got together since probably February.
Yeah,
and all these live music venues in Toronto are going under.
It's a shame.
And I mean, it's sort of similar, but they're like the largest movie theater chain in the UK, who also own a lot of theaters in America, has gone under.
Yep.
And there was a bunch of, I think Clint Eastwood and Martin Scorsese are saying the era of movie houses is over. Like
it's quite possible.
I mean, it's COVID was the final nail. I mean, streaming and Netflix and all that sort of stuff had made it much less profitable anyway. But
have you noticed that? Because that's kind of your world, Michael, is film, and
they're still making, like, there's a lot of production in Toronto, so that's good. But the process by which you make movies has changed, or TV series has changed dramatically. They just I don't know who it is, if it's Hulu or anyway, there's a series called Glow that takes place in the 80s about female wrestlers.
Yeah. Fantastic show.
Yeah, they cancel it because it's not the kind of show you can do safely because there's so much physical contact.
Oh, of course.
Canceled or postponed indefinitely, I guess.
Canceled. Yeah, they canceled. And so I from what my actor friends and producer, director friends and writers, it actually is affecting content. They're making movies that can be done without bodies. Like, I don't think you're going to see football movies. You're going, like, there's going to be, for at least for the short term, that the restrictions are going to dictate content.
Yeah, I'm feeling like anything comes out next year is going to be like really small casts, a lot of dialogue.
Or people lost in the woods.
People lost.
Hello!
Blair Witch Project 17, whatever version they're on now.
Yeah.
There's lots of soliloquies. Soliloquies?
Soliloquies, monologues.
Yeah, monologues. And speaking of what's in the news, the big news of today.
Tragic news,
October the 6th, 2020, the passing of Eddie Van Halen.
Very surprised.
I was listening to a lot of Van Halen over the summer. It's very, and someone made the point that, unlike a lot of heavy metal or hard rock, it's really, Van Halen are very upbeat. They seem very fun, right?
Yeah.
And so it's great lying in the sun, having a drink, whatever, and listen to, just rocking out. It's great music for that. So I was doing a lot of that, listening to a lot of Van Halen over the summer. And it seems like such a shame that's this talented guy is gone. But I was reading about him, and he's had a number of very serious illnesses for a long time.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I mean, he had tongue cancer. He had some issue with his back, and he had some internal disease that was caused by excessive alcohol, and so I'm not sure. I mean, for such joyous music, he seemed like a bit of a tortured fellow. So it's kind of sad when someone who has such phenomenal gifts his life isn't made better by them in the way that I think he made so many fans better by.
And what a huge effect he had on the guitar. He was. It's interesting. I don't know if there's going to be these kinds of stars in the future, just because the entertainment in our society is so fractured. I don't know if we have the sort of concentration of media that would allow everybody knows who this guitarist was. But Eddie was one of the first ones that I was aware of who actually built his own guitar, and that was his big thing.
And he combined Fender and Gibsons.
He just sort of put stuff together. And what that kicked off was a huge industry of people who actually built or who sold guitar kits. And basically were kits, and they'd have, the bodies and the necks and all this stuff, and you could put it together. And a lot of people, tried back then. You can still do it now, but it was certainly the first time I was aware of there being tons of kits.
I always heard that he was the guy that invented, or maybe just made popular, the sort of double hammering, tapping on the neck of the guitar. Was that really his thing? Like, was anyone else?
He talks about that. There's him interviewed at the Smithsonian in 2015, and it's available online on YouTube. And a great interview. Anyway, he talks about that. He went to see Led Zeppelin, and Jimmy Page did a one-handed thing, and he thought, that's kind of limited. Why don't you do more? So he kind of addressed it. He goes, it had been done before, but he saw potential and took it way further.
And he just amped it up. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we got to put that on the website.
Yeah,
it's just great.
After work today, and I heard the news. I saw it on Facebook, and someone linked to something, and then I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube, and of course ended up at Rick Beato. And one of his greatest, what makes this song great, he was doing Van Halen's "Jump" from 1984, and it was interesting because he was analyzing the guitar solo in the bridge of that song, and how they changed keys and did all this wacky stuff. But there was one part of it where he could hear the reverb tail of one of Eddie Van Halen's phrases sort of die down really quickly, and then he started the tapping thing on the guitar, and he said, "This is clearly a punch in." He punched this thing in, so he didn't play it full thing. But the thing that got me is that the little text blurb beside Rick Beato while he was talking was, "Turns out Eddie was human."
Sadly, very human.
Sadly, just
before we run out of time, we should probably play "Jump."
Yeah.
Why not?
Wish his family all the best and flights of angels.
Yeah, indeed. And we lost another massive talent, so very sad.
Stupid 2020.
Nothing gets me down. You got it tough. I've seen the toughest around, and I know
What an incredible solo, you know? It was just so fluid and not aggressive in the way that other people are. It's just,
I've never met an Eddie
it's
Van
not
Halen solo I don't like.
blues-based.
yes, and I think that's one of the reasons I like it. And can you believe it?
Of course, it's not up, but yeah. So Van Halen, it wasn't blues based; it was classical music based. A lot of his stuff.
Some of his stuff for sure. Some of his stuff was very blues based. I mean, it's a mix.
Yeah, but he's definitely a master at the instrument. And
Yeah.
We'll probably do a
for
whole
such a
show
guitar
just
guy,
on
like,
him soon.
for such a huge guitar guy, like that keyboard riff on Jump is so iconic. It's just like he was a musician's musician. He knew it all. He could do it all.
that's true. Yeah. Well, boy, that show went by fast as it always does, because that's all the time we have on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to us.
Yay, yes.
Yay.
Thanks for being here, guys. We got, speaking of inspiration or discipline or deadlines, we have another meetup in October 22nd, whatever the Monday is.
Coming up soon.
Yeah.
7 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. Check out our songtalk.ca to find out how you can join the meetup there.
Very good.
Cool.
And why don't you send us an email to send us a comment on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram on Song Talk Radio, or send us an email at feedback@songtalk.ca. And why not check out the YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes. And subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. Don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter at the site as well. You can find the links to all the podcast, books, and web services we mentioned here on Song Talk Radio on the resources page. And wherever you are in the world, join us for that meetup as well. It's on the link. Big thank you to Vanessa Vreeland for her help behind the scenes. Thank you. Most of all, we'd like to thank you, the home listener. You can follow Neil at
neilmodi.com.
How about Michael? How about people can get in touch with you?
On the Instagram, Proudfoot420. Look at pretty pictures.
You can follow me at philemery.ca. Why not? And stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to follow Brad's past shows. Find out how you can be a guest. Stay safe, everyone, and keep on writing. Good night, everyone.
So long.
No Eddie Van Halen, but it's not too bad.
I guess he wasn't available at the time.
And we're out.
Alrighty.
All right.
And I just sent you guys the link to that Eddie Van Halen talking about where he came up with finger tapping.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So we can link to that.
I remember seeing an interview on YouTube, but I don't remember if it was Smithsonian or not, but yeah. He's giving an interview.
Yeah, I'm sure he's done it before because he's quite old. What I was surprised is when he speaks, like, you talks like this. I mean,
Yeah.
but it didn't sound like, because the harmonies in Van Halen are so Beach Boy pure, right?
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't recall his voice sound like that. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that was something that happened recently. I think back,
I think
back
it was
then.
who's the bass player or something, Alan, whatever his name was. He was the one that sang the really, really high parts.
Michael Anthony, yeah.
Michael Anthony, yeah.
There was such kind of a light joy to his playing. You know, it was just a little, and he was like, you could always tell he was smiling and just having a great time, you know, and there wasn't that sort of, in a lot of rock guitar, there's kind of that masculine kind of posing sort of, you know, and he never did that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was so
he was a guy who was like, he was a shredder, but it was so melodic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like, how did he balance that? Like, you remember his solos, like they were very melodically rich. They weren't just shredding for the sake of shredding.
Yeah.
I'm just reading here another sort of thing that they pioneered is a technical contract writer. So they specified
What was that?
like they on their rider, it wasn't just, you know, booze and food and this and that. It was like they would give technical specs. We need this much power. We need this. You know, they were very, which is why they had that brown M&Ms thing, because that was how they knew if people had read the entire rider.
Yeah. So if they saw red,
what was the brown M&Ms thing?
Well,
they demanded that they needed a bowl of M&Ms backstage with all the brown ones removed.
Oh,
because what happened
what's wrong with brown?
Nothing, but it was a way to tell if they'd read the whole rider.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
because they had a situation before where they had a rider and they didn't follow it, and I think someone was actually injured. So that's how they basically.
Anchor down. So.
Yeah. So if they saw brown M&Ms, they would just leave because it wasn't
and
worth
the brown M&M request was in with the technical requests, not in with the backstage requests.
See, once you start doing that,
but in the rider, because they had a thing that if the M&Ms weren't there, they had the right to inspect the technical quality and not play if they wanted it.
Right,
so that
right.
would.
But once you start doing that and everyone hears about it,
several
then everyone
members
just
had been electrocuted before.
electrocuted. But it wasn't it the case that once they started doing that and everyone knew about it, then they would just forget the technical stuff. Here's your brown M&Ms.
No, it was before the internet, so most people didn't know.
No,
People talk.
that's only. No, it didn't.
Well, not as much.
Before the internet, no one talked.
No, but I mean, like they didn't give away why they had that in there until they'd split up.
Right.
People just thought they were being, prima donnas.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Although apparently Morrissey demanded like a plant that had to be like 2.5 meters tall or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted gladiolas. Yeah.
You
But I
wanted
mean,
a
like
shrubbery.
Mariah Carey and exactly. A little bit taller for the split level effects, right?
With a path.
The little at least he didn't demand a herring.
I am Roger the shrubber. I am a shrubber. Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I wasn't aware of before, I think Guitar Hero, because I really enjoyed playing Beat It on Guitar Hero, and that's when I found out that it was an Eddie Van Halen solo.
Yeah, and apparently he rearranged that.
What's that?
Like he rearranged that song. He did the arrangement on it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least a portion of it. Yeah, I mean, I've been reading a lot about him today. So
I mean,
today
he was telling Quincy Jones what to do.
Well, they worked together,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but
was
I mean,
actually
he was
a
won.
trained.
No, he won a bunch of piano conservatories when he was like in his teens, without reading music. He would cheat by watching his music teacher and just memorize. Like he was phenomenally talented.
Yeah.
His father was a classically trained clarinetist and played with bands.
Okay.
That's how his parents met. He was touring Indonesia, met his mother. They were from Holland, from the Netherlands. But when they got married and after they had kids, apparently there was a lot of prejudice towards her. And so they went, fuck this, let's go to America. And so the kids, Eddie and whatever the brother's name is, and Alex, they were like 6 and 7 or something. I didn't speak English, moved to California.
Wow.
Really had a really hard time. I was reading something today. They came by steamship across the ocean. That's how I came to Canada too, by the way. And they actually earned their keep. Their father had them play for the other passengers, and they were very popular. And they got to sit at the captain's table because they were such good little kid musicians.
Wow.
So
Wow, what an interesting life.
his early days are fascinating. Like how much how difficult it was for them. Oh,
And
sorry, I'm all over the place. He had diverticulitis or whatever, which is a very serious internal illness. Brought on by drinking too fucking much.
yeah. And he married Valerie Bertinelli. So,
That's right. Yeah.
she was
one day at a time.
this absolutely gorgeous, natural, wonderful personality. I mean, I don't know. She's like,
That's what my ex-wife.
You guys go way back, eh, Phil?
My ex-wife looked like Valerie Bertinelli.
There you go.
yeah, it's congratulations.
Thank you. Ex.
Yeah, X. Maybe not so much congratulations.
Oh no, 30 years. That's pretty good. 30-year marriage or 30-year
Holy
marriage.
smokes.
It's pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Wow.
So even though it's over, say, okay, 30 years. That's not a bad run.
That's a lot.
30 years and one great kid. So
Well, 30 years, that's a huge amount of time because when did you guys get married? 20s?
92.
In your 20s or something? Or
Well, now you make me do fucking math. No, I mean 92. I'll be 31.
Okay. That's pretty good. Wow.
Actually, 30 because I'm born later in the year. Yeah.
December, baby.
Yeah. The winter solstice, shortest day of the year, longest night of the year.
Oh, really?
So,
What date is that?
Not if you're in Australia.
21st.
What day is it?
The 21st.
21st of...
No one's ever said that, of December.
Oh.
I guess so. It's not the same around, but the sun is further away from. That's the furthest the sun is away from the Earth, right?
No, it has to do with the tilt of the Earth. So that's why December 21st is the first day of summer in the southern hemisphere,
Oh, is it?
and it's the longest day.
Oh,
and
that's
the toilets spin the other way.
Yeah, they drain.
Who knew?
Well, listen to my northern hemisphere privilege.
Yes.
Our toilets spin the correct way,
The correct American way.
the way the creator intended it.
That's right.
Yeah, north of the equator.
So I do have a
I wonder
question.
which way they do spin them, right? Like if you go right on the equator. You
So I do
flush and
have a-
nothing happens.
They just go straight down.
They go straight down.
There's no spiraling.
They don't know the joy of a spirally toilet. So Neil, I have a
Next
major
time on
question
Song
for you.
Talk Radio.
Toilet radio. So Neil, I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
So we've been doing this show for
Long time.
6 years now.
2013, yeah, 7 years. That's math, Mike.
So how the hell did we figure out that having our meeting on the Monday, the day before the show,
Was a good thing?
was
Good
a
idea.
stupid? Like, why didn't we realize that was a stupid thing? We should have.
I don't
Like, that seems so obvious now. Like, of course
Yeah.
we should have been doing it on a Thursday night. Why would we do it on a
Right,
Monday?
and then if we don't have the person we know, okay, we'll do. I thought the show tonight was good. It flowed and had content. So
yeah,
I
for
think,
sure, for sure.
I mean, we need guests, we need themes.
We
but
need
I
to
don't
guess,
think
and we
it needs
can't
to be
do
so
this all the
specific.
time. It's good to do it every once in a while, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we probably could, at least for a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, people. I
There's
mean,
enough
especially
going
at half an
on,
hour.
and what we're, especially at half an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially in, given the times, like there's going to be rock and rollers dying every week from now on.
That's true,
We'll
actually.
count on it. They're of that age, and they were not an era that took care of themselves.
Unless you're Sting.
Yes.
Yeah. Sting's built like a, yeah.
Yeah. He does the yoga.
Like
He does,
like
he
a
does the
vegan
yoga, and he's vegan,
workout.
but he's vegetarian.
Yeah. I don't know if he's
But,
vegetarian. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm of course I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so I'm getting to that point now where all my heroes from the '80s are starting to go, because all the guys from the '70s.
Because some of them span generations. I mean,
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
some,
yeah.
Some die early. Like Prince died way too fucking.
Yeah, that one just
yeah.
shocked me. And him, Michael Jackson too. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet, all the Stones, literally, like all the Stones are still around. Like, how the hell does that happen?
Yeah, Bill
Brian
Wyman. Is
Wilson.
he still alive? I know he's not really a Stone anymore, but
I think so.
I'll never forget that social media meme where Keith Richards with a cigarette in his mouth, and the meme says that every day you don't give up smoking cigarettes, God adds another year of life to Keith Richards.
is Keith. I saw. There's a lot of them, I guess. 'Cause I saw one. It's like climate change is real. Think about what kind of world are we leaving for Keith Richards?
Keith Richards, I saw that one the other day. Yeah.
But it's like,
Oh, poor Keith Richards.
yeah, I mean, even Lemmy.
fine.
I thought Lemmy would almost be the same age, but he outlived Lemmy, and I think he's older than Lemmy. So
Yeah, but Lemmy had a real particular fondness for amphetamines, but he
Yeah, that's
never
true.
stopped.
yeah,
Like he lived a hard life, and like he never owned a home or anything. Like he lived over a bar
yeah,
in LA or something, right? Like he was balls out his entire life.
But the Stones they're not like saints or whatever. They abuse their bodies.
oh yeah.
They're hardcore just as anyone else.
They
Why
did.
do they get to
had
live forever?
Blood transfusions, money.
Packed with the devil?
Maybe they're actually preserved. Maybe
Well, I
it's
mean,
like you
like
have to do a
what-
certain amount, and then you kind of like go to the other side, you know?
Rogers
Well,
head
I
in a
mean,
jar.
Charlie Watts. I mean, he's sitting down all the time. How hard is that for him? Ronnie Wood is considerably younger and has had some really close brushes. And Mick Jagger runs like fucking 10 miles a day.
Yeah.
So
His father was a PE teacher, so he's always been like a runner. So
And of course, earlier this year it was Neil Peart, and he was the first member of Rush to pass away, and he was sitting down the whole time.
that's true, but he seemed rather busy. He
was pretty dexterous
compared to Charlie Watts, right?
I suppose. I mean that you received his drum solos. I mean they were endurance runs.
Exactly.
I don't think
he'd been ill for a while.
Yeah, but I don't think Neil Peart drank. I don't think he drank or did anything. That was my sense. I don't know if that's true.
not to an abusive level for sure.
Not to a Rolling Stones level,
no,
or an Eddie Van Halen level.
The story that I always heard, that I don't know if this is urban myth or not, but the Rush apparently after their shows they went backstage, and to avoid having to go out where fans were trying to get autographs and stuff like that, they would go back and they'd have a tutor teaching them how to speak French or learn French. That was their like hardcore lifestyle. After a show, they would go to the green room.
It depends, because I was Lifeson is a bit of a drinker, and I was reading something about the practical jokes that when they toured with Kiss, and Ace Frehley and Peter Criss loved them, but because Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley don't drink, they didn't get the humor of Alex Lifeson getting drunk and putting a huge bag in his head and then being this oracle called Bagman or something. Ace Frehley still talks about. So
I didn't know that Gene Simmons
weren't always
didn't drink.
monkish.
Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley didn't drink. Like even back then, they didn't drink.
Wow.
I don't know about Stanley, but Gene Simmons says he's never had never touched alcohol.
He just liked the drugs.
Now they're both Jewish, and I've got some Jewish friends who never drink. In some instances, it's a cultural thing. I also have Jewish friends who are alcoholics, so they make up for it.
Never say never.
Oh, he's such an alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a drinker.
Oh, the alcohol you drink. Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Anyway. I'm glad this brush with anti-Semitism is being recorded.
So, a quick question about the YouTubes. Since we're doing these half-hour shows and we tend to ramble on afterwards, which is very cool. YouTube, like, good for YouTube, yeah? Like, I can always leave the blah blah afterwards on the video.
I like the old blah blahs.
I mean, you were swearing a lot, Mike, which is okay for YouTube.
The kids like it, you know.
It's like,
The young people
just
like it.
keeping it real, man.
keep it real.
Sure, I'll be more. If we're going to do that, I'll be more conscious of what I say afterwards.
No, I don't. But I actually think it's cool.
No, I don't mean about the swearing, but I mean if I'm going to gossip about anyone, particularly that I know of personally, I wouldn't do that.
I see.
You know.
Oh yeah, I better hope that Gene Simmons doesn't see this.
Oh, that I don't care about. But no, I know that after show banter, I've sometimes talked about people I know in the city who play, and I mean, I never said anything bad about them, but I just. It may not always be common knowledge.
That's true.
Complimentary.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's good.
I would never say. I tend to not say things about people behind their back that I wouldn't say in their face anyway. But
some may slip out.
Don't feel. It wouldn't be negative, but just sometimes you talk about things that might have been said in confidence,
especially when you're in a safe space like this.
That's true.
Exactly.
This is our safe space.
The internet.
I mean the internet.
Being watched by tens of people.
We're in Canadian showbiz, or as we call it, witness protection. No one will ever find you.
That's true.
Start analyzing the background of your Zoom video and piece it together. We'll CSI on that.
Michael, how was your golf this weekend?
Canceled on account of rain.
Oh, so you're not that serious.
Disappointed.
When was it raining?
The real golfers. Golfers.
Well, I'm hoping to go to Ireland next year on a golfing vacation. And so I keep telling my girlfriend, you got to get used to rain if you're going to play in Ireland.
Yeah.
But I've got this entire long weekend golfing every day. So
wow.
Because I figure the temperature looks really good. So it might be the last kick at the can.
We were thinking about going horseback riding this weekend. I don't know.
Oh, fun.
That seemed like it would be a safe thing. Huh?
What do you mean? Of course it'd be safe. Where do you go? Or have you never done it? Or
No, we've done it, and we went up a couple years ago. We went to like somewhere in Caledon, I think, and did like a fall time.
yeah, and there's a place in Aurora as well that does it.
Right.
Because I remember going up there years ago. I just saw her in a trailer today. Jane Seymour. I was in a Jane Seymour movie, and to get the part, I had to take a horse test because I had to ride a horse in it.
Oh my God!
And I hadn't ridden since I was a kid. So I went up to Aurora and took a lesson, a refresher, and oh my God, it was so much fun. And we went out on the Aurora Conservation Area, and there's hydro poles, like those big steel structures. There's probably a real word for it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like big
hydro
towers. And so underneath them, there's no trees, so you can just gallop for miles. Oh, it was just
it's
fantastic.
wonderful.
It's nice.
And so I recommend that. What I was going to say is, in Calgary, you can go and go up in the foothills camping. You rent a horse, you get a horse and all that, and you go up like a cowboy, right? You go up on horseback and you camp with your horses and stuff.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
one of
the best horse riding I think I did. It was in BC, like literally in the mountains, which was just like
beautiful.
Though it's tough. That's one of the things they test you in a horse test is going downhill, because on a horse it's really hard.
It is, yeah.
It's hard.
The last time I went horseback riding with an old girlfriend, and many years ago, and I rode a lot as a kid. I went to these summer camps where all you did was like take care of horses. So I got up and I was riding it and kind of helping other people and stuff. And they said, "Oh, you know how to ride a horse? This one's really gentle. We have this other one who's a bit more of a handful. Maybe you could take that one." And it was a beautiful horse, just sculpted, and it turns out it was an ex-race horse. So it had 2 speeds, standing still.
An X-rated horse?
No.
No. An X-rated horse?
An ex-race horse.
Ex-race horse.
Okay. Oh, man. So you got to ride a racehorse.
Yes. So it had 2 speeds, which was standing still and then warp. So it was just like...
Scary.
Yeah, it was actually, because it had been a long time since I'd rode. But it was beautiful because it was just, you just sort of thought about turning and it would turn. It was just this marvelous, it's like riding a Porsche.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah. Never done that either.
Yeah.
but yeah. Oh, so good luck finding a place to.
Yeah, I think.
Let me know if you find a good one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking like maybe escarpment area somewhere might be nice.
Heather actually owned horses, but she wasn't a big rider.
Really?
Yeah, that's great.
I never rode as a kid. I only rode for the first time.
As an investment?
20 sometime.
No, because she grew up on a farm, so she would raise get a calf and then raise it into a cow and then sell it at the market and stuff, and
at the fair.
She grew up on a beef farm. So, and our first date.
That smells nicer than a pig farm. I used to live downwind from a pig farm. Very few things in the world smell worse than a pig farm.
Yeah, it's true. They can be
garbage dump.
Nope. No. When we had the garbage strike, I don't know how many years ago, I lived in Christie Pits where they stored the garbage, and you get with them in 3 blocks, and you could. It was like the smell was physical. You walked into it. Pig farms smell way worse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
You can't imagine how bad a pig farm smells. It's kind of, I don't know how anyone works there. And chicken farms are pretty gross too, but not pig farms. Whereas cows and horses, their shit, it's aromatic.
Yes.
In comparison.
During Heather and I's first date, you're saying, what'd you do? She says, I grew up on a beef farm, but I thought she said a beet farm. So I said, what's the difference between like normal beets and sugar beets? I've heard those things. She looked at me strangely and said, I don't know. And I just thought, wow, you grew up on a farm and you don't know anything about what you grew. Then I found out. How long was it before you found out it was beef and not beets?
12 seconds.
Friday, I think. Past Friday.
Past Friday. Okay.
It's been a journey of exploration. It's been wonderful.
You don't talk a lot, you know.
How long have you guys been together? Phil? How long have you
2 years,
5, 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I know she hasn't figured out that she could do better than me. So
Oh,
You know-
it's great, isn't it?
I know at this point, at first
We'll
I was,
direct
I
her
was-
to this YouTube video, and she'll find out.
Yeah, talking about saying things you don't want
You
to,
don't
get
want to be saying.
general public.
You know this is going public, right, Phil?
I used to feel guilty, but at this point, I figure, she hasn't figured it out by now. It's her own fault,
Exactly.
Yeah.
If she has a blind spot, so be it.
Yeah,
Everyone has a weakness.
that's true.
Hers is you.
I think it would just be such a big pain to move. So she's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live with it.
close enough.
Oh, thank you, inertia. Thank you.
Round it
Lowered
off.
expectations, my secret weapon.
Alrighty, guys.
All right.
All right. So
Okay.
we're ready. We got everything for next week, I hope. Do we?
I've no idea. What is next?
I don't know. We need forms filled in.
Yeah,
But we will-
I don't have it up handy, but do we have a guest? Is that the idea?
I think so.
Yeah.
We should perhaps reach out to Ron Hawkins because he does
Ooh, yeah.
podcasts all the time, and he would just be
Awesome.
He's constantly. I think he'd be great, and he really.
Guess
the
who? Ron
generation behind me. No, Ron Hawkins
Ron
from
Hawkins.
Lowest of the Low.
Oh,
Now,
okay,
the
okay.
Two
Oh,
Good
yeah.
Assassins.
Who's the guy from the
But,
Guess
yeah,
Who?
Burton Cummings.
Oh, Burton Cummings. You can understand how I could mishear that. Anyway,
Well, they're both white guys. We all look the same.
But yeah, I think Ron Hawkins would probably be good because he could really talk about a certain time in Toronto because they were everything Bare Naked Ladies were except successful, but super popular and really representational of Toronto.
yeah. I really like their sound.
Compared to like Bare Naked Ladies are so super financially successful
Oh, yeah.
that no one else compares. Like just the syndication money they get from Big Bang Theory alone.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know Mark and Martha from M+M or Mark and the Muffins.
Oh, how's she doing? She's got MS, doesn't she?
Yeah, I haven't talked to them in quite a while, but they lived their life, like bought a house, everything just from the royalties from Echo Beach.
Wow, that's great. Back then you could do that.
It was number one around the world though. Like that was massive.
Only song I know by them, I'm afraid to
And
say.
it's great. Oh, there's tons. Dance Park you should look into it. Neil, I think you'd like their later stuff when they're M+M because it's
wow.
way more experimental. Because Mark got to drive, and Mark is like Peter Gabriel. Like
Yeah.
he's just so interested in all kinds of polyrhythms and
Okay.
then they had another album that I thought was going to be a big pop hit, 1984, and Wash That Man Out of My Hair, whatever the hell that song, A Song in My Head.
Yeah.
Which I heard in a.
Yeah, I thought that was a great song.
Yeah, that whole album was and I remember when they had that, because they had another song, 1984, on that same album. And a couple of years that'll be useful. And remember how long ago 1984 was?
Oh, yeah. So next week we're supposed to be doing listener songs as a theme show next week.
Ah, okay.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just be the three of us. You want to invite somebody? I don't know. Is that too many voices in the room? We're going to go over a bunch of
For
songs.
half an hour,
Yeah.
I would say just the three of us and one thing I noticed tonight that I thought was good is it felt a lot more like when we were doing it live, as a conversation. I mean, we're not in, I would say we weren't talking over and interrupting, but I was, so I apologize. But for the most part, it seemed to go, nice and smooth.
It was pretty smooth, yeah.
Like we were in the same room together. So
Maybe we're getting good.
maybe we're getting accustomed to this fucking, isolation show.
Yeah. Someday we'll be back to normal, I hope.
Oh, boy.
Someday a real rain will come.
Someday. Soon.
All
Not
right.
this year, for sure.
So 5:15 on Thursday then?
Yeah, if that is that good for you too, Mike? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's switch it to that. I think that because then we can set the rule. Like if we haven't heard from the guest by then,
Yeah.
And even if they
gives
send
us
in
time.
yeah, they give us time, right? Even if they send it in on Saturday, be like, sorry, we've made other plans.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it gives us time to come up with something
With a plan B.
as an alternate that isn't
Yeah.
thrown together at the last minute too.
Yeah, that's true.
And prep over the weekend or something.
Granted, today went well, so
yeah.
who knows? Like we
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah.
We still
So
can
we
do
learned
it.
the wrong lesson.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but that being said, like I don't know. I'm always a stickler for planning. I'd rather know in advance.
Yeah, and I hate not being able to do research. Like if we had
Yeah.
whomever we were going to have, I had like I've such a crazy day at work now. Like I finished just before I tuned in tonight, so I wouldn't have been able to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I would feel bad talking to someone. But I have interviewed people about movies and things and shows and lied about having seen it.
Of course.
I can fake it, but I'd rather not.
I just love that thing you were in.
Yeah. So in other words, Mike, you can fake it for your job, but that's okay. But for this, you want to keep it authentic.
I'm trying to keep it pure. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a
real
little
man.
rude. It's a little rude. And if we're going to have people on as a guest and we're not paying them and they don't really get a promotional benefit.
So are
that's
any of those people
measurable.
you interviewed and lied to, are they going to see this YouTube?
Well, I ain't naming them, so
It's true.
I
They'll know.
suppose. You know who you are.
yeah. Well, I did a very good job. They wouldn't know. But
That's
I've
true.
interviewed
Yeah, there you go.
Hundreds of people. So
Alrighty. So I'll talk to you lads on Thursday evening.
Thursday. Sounds good.
all right.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.